What's up, everybody? In this episode of the Hashtag Blackout Podcast, we talk about childhood now versus childhood back in the day. We talk about things that, kids growing up these days will never truly understand or have the joy of experiencing that we had when we were kids. So all this, some shenanigans, voicemails, and more on this episode of the Hashtag Blackout Podcast. We're taking it back. Pew, 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 pew. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 132. 132 of the Hashtag Blackout Podcast. I'm Jared.
I'm Jay.
And man, we backing at it again. Jay, how was your weekend, cuz?
Week was... oh, crap. Sorry. Down the wrong hole.
Don't die on me.
Went down the wrong hole like your mama used to say. Yeah, it was cool. It wasn't bad. Kids finally made it back to town, so we're in the point of unspoiling them, because you send them with grandparents, and of course it's like, oh yeah, they come back a completely different monster. So yeah, we're in the process of that. Went to see Spider-Man Far From Home yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good, man. It was, to me, that was like the best one out of the last three. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
That's cool.
But yeah, other than that, we're good. Ain't nothing else. How about you?
That's cool. Yeah, we need to check out Spider-Man Far From Home. I have friends who've seen it, and everyone, including you, just yesterday were like, "Man, you got to see this movie. It's a must-see." So, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, man, week was actually less stressful than last week. Thank goodness. Work was work. It was good, but then also. I signed up for a barbecue cooking competition that's coming up here next week. We're doing ribs and pork ribs, and also chicken, any part of the chicken. Blacks and chickens are mighty fond of one another, thanks to Dave Chappelle.
Of course.
So, so I have some plans, some good plans for that, and some pork, and, trying to do some testing. But, with this being 4th of July weekend, I was like, man, I'm gonna do a whole bunch of testing, a whole bunch of like flavor combos and blah, blah, blah on the 4th, while I do my regular barbecue and grilling session. And, our AC went out. so like Monday and Tuesday was hot. I was like, what the heck? And I guess we got somebody to come out Wednesday, and they're like, yeah, your air conditioner is broken. You need a new one. So we're like, yay. So they gave us like this little swamp cooler. This swamp cooler that's basically like, it's basically like a window unit for one room. Like, that's essentially what you feel like. And it's making it a little bit cooler than it could be, but yeah, man, it's still like warmer up here.
Well, just think if he was back in Texas.
Man, I know. That's the thing, man. It's hot outside, which if your air conditioner was out, it'd be super hot in your house. So here, I mean, the temperature is probably like 10, 15 degrees cooler here most of the time than Texas, it feels like, at least. So, yeah, so I guess that is definitely a saving grace. So, yeah, so I didn't get to do my regular barbecue and grilling session, and didn't get to really, do all the testing that I want to do initially, but I got some in yesterday, and yeah, they're supposed to fix it, I think, in a couple days. So we'll be back in action. But yeah, man, I'm excited about that. Very excited about that, to be able to do that in a couple days. So, week was good, cool. Even though the bad part was like finding out the air conditioner was done. But the good part is,
Get to get a new one.
Yeah, I guess. Yay. The price tag is not fun.
Yay for your bank account.
Yay. I ain't got no more yams in my bank account now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, man, good week overall. Very excited and happy. And, yeah, let's see here. So, Last week we had the second part of our haters versus congratulators or appreciators, or hate versus love, segments, episodes. Don't hate, congratulate. Episode 131 is out, and if you wanted to listen to the first half of that, episode 130. Hashtag I don't like that shit is also out on all your socials. Next thing up, why don't we go ahead and get to these voicemails? So Jay, why don't you go ahead and tell the people where to find them? Looks like we got a couple this week.
All right, people, 353 BLAKPC. That's 353-2572. If you want to call, leave us a voicemail, especially regarding to today's topic. We could talk about this all day long, man, in future shows. It's such a touching, dear to our heart topic. Mm-hmm. Anybody that grew up in the 70s, 80s, maybe even part of the 90s. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, man. It's interesting. There's so many things that we can talk about, like you said. So yeah, I can't wait to get to that. Let's see. Looks like we have our Memphis correspondent a couple of times checking in this week, giving her recap of her life. So let's check it out. 3, 2, 1.
Hashtag Blackout Podcast. It's your cousin. This is Steven 99 from Memphis. It's the 4th of July, and I'm Ubering today because it's going to be a lot of drunk people, and I'm going to get all their money. But anyway, because I'm trying to build an empire. Right, Carol? Y'all talking about haters on episode 130. I wonder if haters and jealousy are the same thing. See, I think they're related. People hate. What makes a hater? There are different scenarios. Basically, I can only speak for coming from a person that started their own business. Boy, let me tell you about the hate. There's shaded hate. There's secret hate. There's no talk hate. There's fake smile hate. I even do it at all. And that just gives me motivation to go harder.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Okay. I'm having a petty moment. Okay, I can't talk to y'all. I think I got a customer. A passenger. A customer. I don't like customer. It sounds like I'm a call girl or something. So we're going to use passenger. Yeah, passenger. Okay. No ribs for me today. I'm going to Whole Foods if they open to get me some fruit.
That's good.
Peace out.
There you go.
Getting that healthy 4th of July on. Talking about the haters.
That's right.
The jealous haters. So yeah, man. Thank you very much for that one, Kayla. Appreciate it. And yeah, haters and jealousy, aren't they related? What do you think?
Much. I think they are. It's yeah, I mean it goes hand in hand, Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're jealous of somebody who's doing better or has something that you may want or desire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just kind of be jealous. I mean, well, I'm thinking a little bit too deep into this. I think they do go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right on, man. I think there's like stages of denial, right? Or stages that you have a problem, or you have a problem when it's one step's denial. Like this is like one of those steps of hatred, of being a hater. Jealousy, envy. Somebody envy of somebody else.
Yeah, you're being envious. Yeah. I mean, and like you said, there could be like silent haters. So I think sometimes if somebody's jealous, maybe they'll keep it inside. They're silent about it. They won't like outwardly express their hate or jealousy or envy towards you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess it goes hand in hand. So, yeah.
Them haters. Yeah, man. I feel the same way, man. It's whatever. The other thing, man, you're trying to build an empire, definitely. And, Kayla could probably understand this, and I could probably understand this as well. When you go to these shows, you go to these events, and you're selling stuff, or like, the farmer's market, and you're selling stuff, and, you may walk by other people's booths that are selling the same thing, or they'll walk by your booth, and they're selling, something similar,
Right.
You could see like a glare, or you could see like oh, my stuff's better than theirs, which you obviously should have pride in your own product,
Right.
as long as you're not detracted from or talking bad about anybody else, you know what I'm saying? I think that is when you cross the line between between sort of envy and the hate and jealousy, combo or whatever. Yeah. And you can go and taste their stuff. Like I've gone and taste other people's seasonings or sauces. You can go and check out their products or whatever. And just be like, okay, more power to you. More power to you. If they come by your booth though and hate, it's a whole different thing. I had that situation before. Some people selling some seasonings and they stopped by my booth, or I saw one of the guys stop by my booth, and I didn't know that he was from this other booth at first until later on. I saw their Instagram profile and I was like, oh, that's where that dude's from. Okay, I see you. And, he's probably just going to check the competition and walk up and down the show, or not the show, but the farmers market. And yeah, I don't know. He just sort of walked off and acted like he had like a sour taste in his mouth. I was just nice to him, just like I was nice to everybody else. So whatever.
Right.
But then I realized that later on that they're also selling some stuff. So I'm gonna tell you this thing. Even though this is personal thing, even though there is one or two other seasoning companies that show up at this thing, my numbers are still not dropping. I'm still doing really well. So I have a lot of people coming back to see again. So that's a good thing. So I say that Memphis Diva, all those people that may be hating on you for trying to build an empire, doing your thing, especially when you go to those events and you're selling t-shirts, just know that you still have people coming back to you. You still have fans of your product. And that's what keeps you going. So don't let the haters win. So here we go. Voicemail 2. 3, 2, 1.
Hey y'all, it's me, Memphis Diva. I guess I'll go visit my dad at the hospital today. He's been in the hospital going on a week. One day he could not move, he could not walk, he could not grasp anything, he could not sit up. So we took him to the ER, and apparently, I forgot the name of it, but it's like with his Parkinson's and a little dementia. But this dementia is like, it affects your body. So your body just kind of forgets to know how to walk, forgets to sit up. So we're changing some medicine and talk to his neurologist, and now he has to go through rehab to walk all over again and stuff like that. But he's doing better because yesterday I snuck him some pizza in. They want a sausage and pepperoni, so I snuck it in, and right as he was taking a bite of it, the nurse walked in, and then I walked out. Yeah, buddy, you're on your own on that one. But nothing's going on with me. Have y'all seen the movie, Ma? I haven't seen it, but I think I will. Okay, I'm back to listening to y'all haters. Because your family members can be a hater. Your co-workers can be a hater. People they don't know how to compliment sometimes, so they hate. They say little silly stuff. And also, beware of people that make jokes all the time about you. That's sweet hate. Yes. Okay, dear. Good day.
Wow. There you go.
Definitely right. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, prayers to your papa.
Yeah,
Hope
definitely.
he's doing better. Yeah. But, yeah. I know I hadn't seen I wanted to see it, but.
Okay, yeah. No.
That's what Viola Davis. What is it, man? Viola Davis? No.
Let's see here. Octavia Spencer. Yeah.
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah.
Wait, Viola Davis. They were in a movie together, weren't they? No, they weren't. Yeah, they were in
Was it
the Help?
Yeah.
Not The Help. I don't know, man. Yeah. Anyway, dang, that made me feel bad getting all my black people mixed up.
Why? I mean, hey, man. These days it ain't easy.
Yeah.
It ain't easy to remember all the movies all these people be into.
Yeah. True.
We don't know.
You don't.
Oh man. Were they? Wait, was it The Help or was it?
I don't remember.
What's the name of that movie where they were where there's the black women who were helping NASA get to?
No, not that one. That was Janelle Monáe and Octavia Spencer and Taraji P. Henson. That was. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they were in The Help together though, so they were in The Help. But yeah, man, hey, it ain't easy. Anyway, yeah, hating is easy though. It seems, yeah, and yeah, like she said, man, family members could be haters, unfortunately. Yes. So, yeah, man, just keep on your grind, keep doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? People out there, whatever you're doing, whatever you're creating, whatever your ambitions or goals are, just keep your mindset on that, and try to push to that. Don't give up your dream if you believe in your dream, I guess. So I haven't seen mine either, but man, it looked freaky, man. It sort of jacked with me. I don't know. I was like, why you got a middle-aged, woman trying to hang and chill with these kids? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy. What else? Yeah, and yeah, man, hopefully your dad is getting better. It's not a fun situation at all. So yeah, definitely prayers to him and your family. So let's get on back to this fun today's episode. So yeah, Jay, why don't you go ahead and re-intro the topic, and we'll get into the comments.
All right, people. Have you ever sat back and just look at these kids today and think, damn, they ain't gonna never know what it was like growing up in the 80s, or if you were born in the 70s, part of the 90s. They're just straight sissified. That's right, I said it. They sissified.
Man.
So we're gonna run down some things that a comparison and contrast of the yesteryears versus this year, this current time in kidhood, in childhood. Kidhood. Yeah, kidhood. That's what I call it, kidhood. So yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna read off some topics. I mean, some responses to a question we asked on Twitter and Instagram. Got a lot of great responses. A lot of factual, 100% facts. So I'll let Jared go ahead and read off whatever he has pulled up.
Okay, I'm trying to pull up Instagram, but my internet is not wanting to work. I love it, man. It's early in the morning. Ain't nobody else on anything but me. Why are you going so slow? Hold on one second. Sorry, people. This is what happens when you have internet provided by your HOA, and you have 5,000 other people who live in the community also on the internet service. So here we go. I love the pictures that you posted. If y'all haven't seen it, you can look back at our Instagram post on, what day is this posted? 7/6, looks like 7/6. And it's a meme that said, who remembers this hot ass shit? This was child abuse. And it looks like it's a metal slide, from the 80s, 70s, 80s, whatever, that looks like it's about a mile long. And everybody knows getting to the top of that slide and feeling like you're a mile from the bottom, and you couldn't wait to jump on it, even though you was going to get a sunburn and 3rd and 4th degree burns as well by sliding down. And then the next picture is a garden hose. When I was a kid, we didn't have bottled water. We had a garden hose.
That's right.
Yeah, And then the last picture that you posted on there said, "My generation never had babysitters. Our parents just told us to lock the door and don't open it for nobody." 100. And I tell you, man, I actually, it was funny. Before I read these replies, I was talking to my brother and sister the other day. We had a long sort of back and forth conversation about memories from our childhood at our old house, because my mom just sold it, and just all these things. And yeah, one of the things was I remember when our parents would go somewhere and they would leave me at home, with my little sister and brother. Well, I guess my little sister, and brother eventually when I was like 10 or more. And I would sit there with like what seemed like a foot long, kitchen knife, like a butcher knife, like next to me, and on one side and a cleaver on the other side. And I was like, man, if anybody breaks in the house, I'm ready. Like I was gonna do something as a little 10-year-old. But yeah, man, I was like, probably like 11, 12, whatever, when they would just leave us home, 10 years old, like nothing.
Yeah.
So
that's right. I can remember that too. I know it was a lot of moments I was sick, probably around the 8 through whatever, maybe older.
Yeah.
And of course my mom worked maybe, I guess, a few miles from our home.
Yeah.
So she just say, lock the door. I'll call you and check on you every once in a while, but just chill here, watch TV, whatever. Your grandparents will probably stop by whenever they can. So it's just me chilling in the house, by myself.
That's hilarious. Yeah, man. That's back in
Good
the day,
days.
when parents would just do that. They didn't care. So here we go. So I will read the Instagram responses because I have those up finally.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. So, and thank you all for your comments, and go and try to like and follow these people on Instagram as well. So first up, question for our IG fam: what is the one thing you did growing up that kids these days will never have the joy of experiencing? So Talking Greasy said, riding around the neighborhood on your bike with your squad all day until the lights came on, and your parents not worrying where you are.
Yes.
Nor did you have to worry about the overt racial profiling and discrimination just for being young black kids.
That's right.
Man, I remember those days. Those were fun. I do remember though, like getting into like the teenage range and experiencing this, with cousins of mine and myself as well. Going to a place like Champs or something like that, looking for some tennis shoes, and then like the associate following you around, like what the heck. But that wasn't until I was much older. Like as a kid, didn't have to feel that at all. So that is true. Let's see here. Well, I guess I'm just Jackie. Just responded to all your pictures and said all facts. Brittany D. Byers, what's up, cuz? Sent 2 laughing, crying emojis. JHook_1. What's up, sister? Really being friends with neighborhood kids because they don't go outside to play. Go outside and play, suckers. What? Really being friends with neighborhood kids because they don't go outside and play. Suckers. Being friends with your friends that are in the hood. See, Kung Fu Drive-In Podcast said, kids will never again know the instant panic and sudden tailbone crushing impact of being helpless at the top of a seesaw and watching your friend simply and gleefully hop off the other side. Wow.
I could have died on one of those, man.
Is that right?
Literally. Yeah, there was like this huge one at this park me and one of my friends went to. Mm-hmm. And I'm at the bottom about to get off. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the weight on his side pushed down and my leg got caught on there. And I did like this somersault type flip in the air and landed on my back. Talk about hurt, man. I swear I could have been like dead that day, or paralyzed or something.
Oh man, that's rough, man. When
Things
that
were
happens,
dangerous. They were dangerous.
Yeah, super dangerous, but also fun. Especially if you were the kid who jumped off the other side.
Bruh, remember the merry-go-round?
Oh yeah, man.
Dude.
You go on the merry-go-round, and like you stand in the middle, and you have your friend on the other side like pushing as hard and fast as they can. And you just get super dizzy, and the next thing you know, you fly off.
Or if you have multiple kids on there, and somebody's pushing. I know one of my oldest. He's never going to go back on there again.
Oh man!
Because he ended up flying off, or his leg got caught on the ground and he flew off.
Yeah.
And the kids were still going in a circle, and every time they passed, their legs were kicking him in the back. It's not funny, but he was like mad, man. He was ticked off.
Man, one thing I was always terrified of. Falling off the merry-go-round, and then my foot or leg or head being stuck under the edge, and the edge being sharp as a razor, like a rusted metal razor. I was always scared that one of my body parts is gonna get stuck under there, it's gonna get chopped off. But yeah, man, Jeez. I do remember several times of a bunch of kids being on the merry-go-round, and them like push fast, and I was like a little older kid by then, so I'm pushing. And then all of a sudden, like 8 kids just fly off. Oh man, those are the fun times. Oh, that's great. All right, here we go. So back to these responses from Instagram. The Horror Club. What's up, ladies? They just said outside. So all the outside. Definitely better. Random Rambles Rob said all of these. So responding to the pictures. Excuse me, and then Whatever Man Pod, those guys said 100% fact, also in response to your pictures. So, thank you guys for those comments. So, Jay, why don't you get the Twitter ones if you have that up?
All right, the tweets. Let's go through these. Of course, I can't get on my profile.
The
Twitters. All right, so same question. What is one thing you did growing up that kids will never have the joy of experiencing? Kung Fu Driving Podcast with another response on here. Saturday morning on the floor in front of the TV, breakfast and binging cartoons until noon. That was like the ultimate. Just in Time Podcast, the JNT Baggers. Shouts out to them. Standing in the Blockbuster line so long, you end up buying that expensive ass candy. I can remember that as well. Whatever Man Pie. Racing bikes to school and back home. That shit was fun as hell. Miss Memphis Diva. Looking forward to talking on the phone to my grandparents. Not texting or FaceTiming. Talking. That's true. Truth. J. Del Negro says blowing a Nintendo cartridge. Pause. Yeah, that they'll never have that opportunity to figure that out. They just put a disc in, or just go straight to whatever games that's stored on their console or phone or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Frank Branches. Slip and Slide should have been named Slip Straight to Hell if they were being honest. That's true. Did you have a slip and slide?
I did have a slip and slide, man. I did.
Yeah, I remember that. We used to play with that in the front yard.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day as well when we were going through memories. And it's funny, man, because at first we set it up in the back, and then then I guess like under the slip and slide it got too mushy, and so and it got grass all over, so we rinsed it off. And we moved it to the side yard. And this is like when we first got it in my house. Moved to the side yard, right. to strip down the side of the house, and it felt like a runway or something like that, because it's just the side of the house, like between the house and the fence. So we did that, but that side was always sort of shaded, and like the ground was always sort of soft. So that didn't last long. So yeah, then we brought it in the front yard and played it out there. Man, I love the slip and slide, but then also it was good and terrible at the same time. Like you said, yeah, you definitely felt like you were slipping straight to hell. So that's funny. I loved it.
Yep. Poor Boys Podcast says nipple rips. You remember nipple rip? They don't do that anymore.
What is that? Where you go and grab somebody, do like a twisty or whatever?
Yeah, I think yeah, that's what it is. I mean, they did that a few times. I remember seeing it a few times. I never had it did to me, but I remember it going around and
that's funny
when we were real young. All right, Kevin JF Top at Keverzoid says buying a new Mad magazine. Yep, kids don't do that anymore. Mad magazine was a joint back in the day. Yeah, all right, Black Josh or Just Say Words Pod says plain ding dong ditch. That is true. Yeah. Or in our neighborhood, as we used to call it, nigger knocking. Yeah. So there you go. Let's see. One more. Let's see. Okay, and then some. Josh Toro Jr. responded with a
Jose.
Picture of the. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jose. Sorry, I read that wrong. I'm reading another one. Jose, my bad. At least I didn't say Josie.
You're right.
Jose Toro Jr. responded with a picture of a long metal slide that says, "A long time ago, an engineer decided he hated children and wanted to watch them burn." Yes,
man,
that is true.
Yeah, Jose Toro, man, what's up, man? You and your brother Nelson, my boys from childhood, with the now defunct Super Toro Bros pod, sadly. Yeah, that's man. Funny.
You should come back. That was a great podcast.
Bring it back for sure. Yeah, man, and it's funny that he has the same slide picture talking about the engineer deciding they hate children. I swear, I don't know who it was who came up with those hot slides, but maybe it was one of the things. Like back in the day, they were probably like, well, plastic's not really a thing like this yet. It'll all melt in the sun. And the second thing, they're like, what? Huh?
Yeah, keep going. Go.
Then I'm thinking like, well, maybe not wood because wood will have splinters, and just imagine getting splinters going down a wood slide. I just can't.
Yeah, no.
So they're like, how about steel? And silver at that, so it reflects the heat of the sun. Aluminum.
Yeah. But here's the crazy thing: they don't even build plastic slides that are this long anymore. That are that long.
No, because they probably think that kids will go to the bottom and break their legs or something like that.
It was always that one parent. I'm sure there was that one parent like the Barbecue Becky or somebody like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're like, my kid hurt himself on this long slide, so we can't have these slides no more. Yeah, man, it's crazy, but hey, that's the reality of back in the day. That's what they made for us. That's what they did for us, and we, as kids, loved it and hated it. So, yeah, thank y'all for all your responses. All very funny and accurate. And yeah, we get into it. We could talk through some of these comments. We could talk about just stuff that we had sort of can talk about, I guess. So yeah, man. So what stuff did you remember, either based on these comments or whatever?
Well, I mean, a lot of things that, like, of course, we mentioned the drinking water from a water hose outside. Mm-hmm. That was like the common. We did not go back inside the house to get some water from our parents inside the refrigerator. Hell, I don't even think we kept a pitcher. There was no bottled water. Yeah. Do you remember bottled water being in your refrigerator when you were little?
Yeah, man. I don't remember like the little 16-ounce or 24-ounce bottles like they have now, like the Polar Springs or Arrowroot or.
We ain't had none of that.
Yeah, man. We had like a jug.
Minerals and electrolytes from tap water or hose water.
It was that. We had like a. Let's see. When I was a kid, we had like the 1 gallon jug, that we would buy, and also there was a time when we had the Ozarka water bottle thing in our house. Like the 5 gallon jug. I always remember my dad replacing them and pouring that in there, and then like half the water being on the floor.
I actually do remember you guys having that.
Yeah, we had that for a bit.
That was like the craziest thing I ever seen because I had never seen it before.
Yeah.
I never seen that before.
Ozarka maybe hadn't made it to Louisiana yet, or what?
No, it's just we never had a water dispenser in our house.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was just always get some ice from the refrigerator in the little, not automatic ice maker. It was put some tap water in the little ice tray, put it in the freezer, let it freeze. Yeah. Then you twist it and you pop up your ice, put it in a cup, pour some tap water in there.
Yeah.
That was our water.
That is true. That is true. I do remember. Speaking of ice, I do remember my mom. Like, even though I could drink water from the water hose, my mom was always like, "Don't eat the ice in the fridge." And I was like, "Why can't I eat the ice in the fridge?" She's like, "I don't know. I think they just got some stuff in there, so don't eat the ice in the fridge." So we had an ice maker in our fridge that worked, and we just couldn't eat the ice. So it was funny. At one point in time, I remember my dad like going to 7-Eleven or something like that and picking up a bag of ice and pouring it in the ice maker's like ice holder and turning off the ice machine. And then from that point on, even when they moved from that house and got a new fridge, they still use like store-bought ice.
Wow.
So yeah, and kids these days, man, like my kids will never, like, they'll never do that because like they just go to our fridge, get some ice, and bounce. Like they don't even care. Like they don't even know. And then eventually later on, they look in their water and they're like, they look in their water and like, oh, what's these little particles? I don't care. I'm gonna drink it anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Or they freak out and toss it, get some new water and new ice. But yeah, those were the days. That's funny. So yeah. Definitely remember that. Man, like just imagine this, like and I've had several conversations, and this always I think pops up for people from time to time is like telephones, right? Just think about communication right now.
Right.
Back then you had snail mail, you had your telephone at your house. And normally, it was connected to a cord, which, if you had to take your call, farther than 8 feet or 10 feet from the base, unless you had an extremely long extension cord. I remember we had I swear we had like a 50-foot long extension cord. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like the long cord that connects from the wall to the phone base. And then eventually we got like a 10-foot like curly cord. But I'm like, it was one of those things like if you couldn't have your phone conversation within 10 feet of where your wall base was set up, then you probably shouldn't have that conversation. And yeah, man, you were always connected to a cord and a phone. Back in the day, even when the wireless phones came out, for your house, if you tried to take that outside, you could only be within so many feet of your home, or else the signal would go out. Yeah, man. So that was great back then compared to now, when everybody has a cell phone and you could just have a convo anywhere you want. The other thing is caller ID. Like, just imagine caller ID. Yeah. So on your cell phone, it'll pop up who's calling you, or at least the phone number, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe even the area that they're calling from. But back in the day, you just had a phone. Like, you just had like that little, you had that little like half moon shaped phone, or you had like the rotary phone. And you just had to pick it up and hope it wasn't a bill collector.
Bro, kids will never know. I remember. You remember this? I think it was Super Mario Brothers Super Show, when he used to have like live action Mario Brothers, and then they go into the segment where they play the cartoons and things. Yeah. There was at one point they were running like a contest to win like a Super Nintendo, but you had to call in. You had to be like caller number whatever. I don't remember what number it was. But can you imagine trying to call in on a rotary phone?
Man.
And especially if like the last four like digits, like they spelled out something, on the TV, and you had to figure out, oh shucks, which one is this letter? Which one is this letter?
Oh man!
So you're trying to call on that thing, man. Those kids
that
will
was
never
pretty
know.
bad. Yeah, kids won't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because
they're not even gonna understand being on the phone with your friends, and then all of a sudden your mom or somebody is on the other end listening to your conversation. They're not gonna understand it. Or heck, even the internet, being on AOL, trying to download something, and then your parent picks up the other line and just completely cuts off your download. And of course, that was like well into the 90s.
Yes. Sitting there and waiting, waiting for, the internet to even pop up in the first place. I remember. Yeah. Okay. So if anybody has seen Captain Marvel, and you're not from your childhood was not based around, waiting on America Online at that point to to load up. If you've seen Captain Marvel, there's a point in there where they play like this black box recording or something like that, and they put in the CD, and they have to wait for it, and the computer's like sitting there saying loading, and they make a comment about it loading. That was a thing, man. Like when you put in a CD, when you put in a disc, onto a computer, you try to get onto a website, like it seemed like forever for the whole picture to load or for it to pop up on the screen. So that's what they don't get. And it's all like the internet was not fast. And you said, if somebody tries to make or has to make a phone call, your whole download session or whatever you were doing is off. It's cut. Yeah. So that's so funny. And
don't let the internet go out now. Don't let your router go out now. They don't know what to do with themselves.
Nah, they don't. They don't. And there's some other things, man. If you think about it, like all connected to that, back in the day, we had encyclopedia books, like books. And there was normally, even though the alphabet only has 26 letters, right? There was always like 38 books for some reason. You're like, what? I thought this was, one book per letter, but no, there was always like multiple books. And you'd have, like, if you were doing a book report, if you were doing a research paper, if you were doing a science experiment, like you would go and get an encyclopedia and read through and try to find stuff on what you're talking about. Or, if you're just interested and curious, like I would do that too.
Or here's one thing. How about the library?
Oh man, the library, yeah.
They ain't gonna know about using that card catalog.
Oh, the card catalog.
Letters down and trying to, go on a little journey to find your book in the library.
Man, the card catalog.
They're not gonna know about that.
They won't. I remember learning how to use the card catalog when I was in elementary school, man. I remember
we had to take tests on that, man.
Oh,
for
reading
class. You had to go to the library, learn from the librarian, take a couple little, little sessions with her. And then, of course, they give you a test afterwards.
Yeah. Or using the microfiche. You know what I'm saying? Using the thing. What did they call? I don't remember what they call the thing to use the microfiche. But you had to go. There's like a certain thing that you'd have to go to. Like this, it looked like just like a big case with a bunch of shelves. And if you're trying to find research on any subject, you'd go and get the microfilm and put it under the whatever the device was and use the microfiche.
Yeah.
So
I've never had to use it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at movies from like the 80s, the 80s and maybe maybe early 90s, you can see them. So it's funny, the microfiche. But then another thing was, going back to that encyclopedia. So eventually, when we all thought that we were like technology savvy, they put the encyclopedia on a disc and called it the Encarta.
I remember that.
Oh man, the Encarta. And so you had to go.
I had 1995 Encarta.
Yeah, the 95 Encarta, man. You thought you was smart. You like, hey, I got the Encarta at the house. but it took you like 10 minutes for that to load up on your computer, so you could find one topic. Yeah, man, those were fun. The other thing was, wow, when you were a kid, like traveling somewhere, like you had a map. You had like a fold-out map. You had a book. You had something like that where you had to try to find directions on and find from point A to point B. And kids nowadays, like my kids will never get that. Like they got a GPS in the car. They're like, where are we at? Hit the GPS. Or they could look on the phone. Like I said, like the phones, and you can see exactly where you are. Whereas back in the day, and I thought it was fun to actually have maps. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was cool.
Because you got to look on this one little page where you see your street, and then they give you like the little number and the letter. Then you have to try and pinpoint it on the bigger map and see where it's at. That was great. I need to teach. I honestly need to teach my kids how to use a map. Just in case.
Right? Just in case, man. I'm telling you.
Just in case, shit hits the fan and all internet is down. Well, just in case, just not even that, but in any type, just in case. I'll just say that because there could be so many scenarios where power and everything goes down, and you don't have any type of knowledge of where you're gonna go.
Yeah, that's true. This is true. And speaking of that, I mean, scenarios like that, like information, right? Information. Like nowadays, you can normally get information fairly quickly, unless some communication lines are down for whatever reason, or for some reason Instagram doesn't work like it did the other day. Like, why didn't it work? But communication or information, nowadays according to back to then, like you'd have to wait for the news to come on or the newspaper, to find out what's going on in the world. Whereas now they could look on the cell phone, or flip up, any website that has news, and it'll pop up immediately.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, it's crazy, and the other thing, like something about that was like, say you didn't have the cable channel to watch something, or you did have the cable channel to watch something. And, you saw your friend didn't see it. You talked to your friend about it. They're like, man, I want to see it. Well, you'd have to wait so much amount of time for that to come back on again. So you'd be behind the curve. Or even movies back in the day, they go into the theater. It felt like a year before they actually came out on VHS.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it probably was a year, when it started, before it came out on VHS. Yep. So if you didn't see it when it was in the theaters, it took forever to actually see it. Yeah, now it's like 2 months later. Avengers Endgame is already available on streaming platforms. Yeah, it's like what?
Yeah. Y'all kids don't remember VHS? Man, they're not gonna know what VHS is.
Please be kind. Rewind.
Just you gotta rewind, and then they don't know about that waiting in line, like what was mentioned earlier about a Blockbuster. You go there go there on Friday night, because Fridays is when new releases would come in, and you could either put your name on the list early to hold that movie, or you could just try to brave it out and go there and see if they have any left.
Yeah, or you
got
try
late fees.
Yeah, I remember like where you try to have to run to like the next nearest Blockbuster, because your Blockbuster, like the sucker who was working behind the counter was a buster and didn't want to call them and see if they had your movie, so you had to try to drive to the next one. I remember those days too.
Oh man, we had multiple. We had one Blockbuster. We had a bunch of sometimes little corner stores or something like that would have movies that you could rent, like a corner store.
That's funny.
So we'd rent video games, movies, whatever, all on a Friday night.
Yeah. I remember that.
So
I remember going to your house and doing that. I remember the first time I ever heard of the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. you took me to some store. I don't think it was a Blockbuster. It was like some other kind of rental place. And I remember like being super excited because I think you could rent the movie for like 3 days. And I was like, what? You guys have 3 days? So I remember that. And then, yeah, you said, man, you ever seen this, man? And I was like, what? And it was two movies that we checked out. One was the UFC, and it was like UFC number 2 that was in Idaho. And I was like, where's Idaho? I was like, I've never heard of Idaho. It's like, I mean, I live like right next to Idaho now. And then the other thing was, what was that? Faces of Death?
Oh man.
Man,
I don't know why
you showed me, you're like, man, you ever seen this, man? This dude like parachuted into a crocodile pit and got ate up in Africa. Kids will get it, man. Nowadays, if you tell somebody that, if you're like, man, you ever seen this dude like get parachuted into a crocodile pit and get eaten up in Africa? They're like, man, I saw that like a year ago, man. You know? It's out there for kids now compared to back then. Like, the wonder is gone. I think there's so much wonder and awe that we had back then in things that now kids don't have the same, you know.
Yeah, everything is right there at their fingertips, you know. Yeah. It's no searching around or hearing from other kids, but yeah, those were the great things. Let's see, what else we got on a great list. What about going to the arcade?
Oh man,
that was great. They don't have arcades like they used to. Everything is like a ticket. You win a ticket, you do this, you do that.
Yeah.
They don't have like games to play at the arcade.
Yeah.
There's actually one place around here that has a restaurant, and you could play video games for free, like old school arcade games for free. But it's just one place. It's not like what is it called? I don't remember the name. It's called Free Play.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
that's what it's called. But you know, remember going to the mall and there was a big arcade there, and you could go play with quarters. With quarters, not a little scan card or something like that.
Yeah, man. I tell you, the movie Wreck-It Ralph. You know, Wreck-It Ralph 1 and then Wreck-It Ralph 2 sent us all back, I think, because it showed that, and my kids, like, they look at that, they're like, what? You had to go somewhere and, like, put money somewhere? Like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And I remember this place at our mall, both of our malls, called Tilt. And, yeah, it was the arcade, man. And I remember when I was old enough to go there and stay there by myself. And, like, my parents, you know, would go shopping in the mall or something. And I'd be like, I'll just be in Tilt. Like, they'll drop, like, $10 on me. So I had, like, $10 worth of quarters. And, like, just go crazy up in that place. And for some reason, you know, I would always, like, go to, like, the games that I was terrible at back then, like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I was horrible, but I loved playing them, and those were the popular ones, you know? So, yeah, I remember that.
And you grab your quarter, and you throw it right there on the screen and say, I got next.
Line up of quarters, man. There's, like, 10 quarters that wait, you know, for next. Yeah, man. Those were the days, man. Those were fun times. There's a place here called, like, the Nickel Arcade or the Penny Arcade, something like that. There's a few of them here, and yeah, you can go there. It has the old-timey games, you know, all the old-timey, I mean, stuff from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, like the arcade boxes, and they're pretty cool. And one of my daughters went with her friend's family one time, and they enjoyed themselves. So, yeah, man, that's some fun stuff that these kids just don't get, because you could just flip on the Xbox now and be on and talking to your friends all over the world.
I know, and they don't have actual friends to play with side by side. You know, I can remember having Tecmo Bowl tournaments at my friend's house. And now you could just go online. You could be by yourself in your room. You could play Madden with somebody across the world. You know.
Yeah. I remember that. That was some good stuff, man. What about clothing? Which is better? Is clothing better now? Because I thought about it. You know what? Okay, so this is what I think about. A lot of times when I think about like music that relates to stuff back in the day, and like when a topic like this pops up, I swear almost every time the song "Growing Pains" that Ludacris did with "Disturbing the Peace," that song always pops in my head. And I remember, always remember the first line where he talks about, I remember the days, let's see here, high rights, low lefts, even Stevens and fades, troops, lottos, and BKs, those was the days. And then wearing jams and stuff like that. So I remember, if y'all remember lottos, if y'all remember British Knights, BKs.
Yes, I had some.
Those were the shoes, those were the clothing lines. I love lottos. You can still buy lottos right now, actually. Their brand is still up and going. I used to love those. I had some lottos that had a map on them in the logo. And I was like, yo, ain't nobody got these kicks. And I'd wear them to school. People like, wow, I love your shoes. Yeah, but British Knights, and other shoes that were like wannabe Jordan knockoffs or wannabe Nike knockoffs. Yeah, man. What do you think, man?
I would have to say back in the day was the better experience. Of course, the British Knights, the LA Gears. I used to rock LA Gear. Jabos. They don't sell Jabos no more.
Jabos, Cavarici. I bet you could find them. I bet.
Cavarici.
Cavarici's still a thing. I remember going on their website. And I think Jabot's still a thing too. You can still get them, and they're still making new stuff, but it's just like, why would you?
It ain't like it used to be.
Nah.
It ain't like it used to be. You knew people had Jabos when you see the little white strip across the little zipper area.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That was that was the joint back in the day. That Jordans after the year maybe. I'm gonna say 99, maybe 2000. Then the Jordan shoes, design wise, just went downhill. Now you're starting to see within the last 10 or so years, they're starting to reboot all the old shoes. So, of course, back in the day, the OGs were the best. That starting to see screen tees. Of course, screen tees never really left, but back in the day, 80s and 90s, screen tees were that. They were like the greatest thing when you were a kid. Now, screen tees are airbrush tees were cool. Were pretty cool. Then they had airbrush. People used to airbrush their pants. I never had airbrush pants.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I had a bunch of airbrush T-shirts. It was funny because I think my first true memory of airbrush clothing was we had a family trip to Florida, or we probably went to Mississippi or Louisiana to visit, and then we continued on to Disney in Florida. And I remember my dad say, I vividly remember walking into a souvenir shop. As we're walking past it, my dad's seeing all these airbrush, and he sees some with people's pictures on it and stuff. It's like, man, let's go in there and let's all get some airbrush T-shirts. So yeah, man, we went in there and we all got some airbrush T-shirts specific to, I guess he got all for the kid, and it was a picture of us as a kid and an activity that we like to do, and it looked like a caricature, you know what I'm saying, but with our name on it. And I remember having one of me as a football player. Me as a football player, I vividly remember that. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, airbrush, man, y'all don't get it, man. They still do that a little bit now.
Yeah, very little bit, but it ain't the same. It definitely ain't the same.
They'll screen print their baby's daddy's picture on it, and then they'll airbrush his name with sparkles around it. Nowadays,
no, B.
Do you remember the flat? They called it a flat. Well, we called it a flat, but it was like a herringbone chain. It was that flat metal.
Oh yeah,
gold chain.
Yeah, we either call it a flat or just call it a bone. Yeah. You say a bone now, they may think of something else, but even terminology is different these days.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I was thinking about something. You ever got a ride, your friend would ride you somewhere, back in the day, if your friend had a bike, we'd ask for a pump to the store.
Oh yeah.
And you pump me on your bike to the store. Now you think about that, and it's a complete pause moment.
Yeah, it's pump me on your bike. What?
Yeah, it's like nah, these days it's like something completely different. But back in the day, let me get a pump to the store, So just the terminology is completely different.
Yeah.
Kids are, like I say, they sissified.
And that's another thing, man. Like when you were doing that, when you were getting a pump to the store, you were either riding on the handlebars on the front or riding on the pegs, like hanging on their shoulders on the back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And now kids, if they see you like, first of all, parents now would be like, "Don't you ride on those handlebars? You go fall off and bust your face." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and kids wouldn't even understand how to ride on the pegs on the back.
Yeah,
and they sell pegs on the front and back of almost every BMX bike at the stores now. So that's crazy.
Yeah, back in the day, you was like cool if you had pegs on your bike.
Mm-hmm.
I only knew one kid with pegs on their bike, and they didn't match. I think he got them from two completely different places.
Yeah,
but
yeah. You were rich, or you had like a really good bike if you had pegs. Back in the day, I remember that. That's true, man.
Yeah.
Wow. It's just
you gotta have helmets. You gotta have helmets and pads. I know my wife. I'm all about letting my kid bust their tail, but my wife, she's so paranoid as far as kids' safety. Like when they try to ride the skateboards, it's like, get your helmet, go get your pads. This.
Yeah.
But I remember learning how to ride a bike, and my dad, I didn't have a helmet. He just put me on the bike, started making pedal. He let me go. I can't tell you how many times I hit my head on the concrete on the street, and didn't think, it was just like, "You all right, boy? You all right? Get up, dust yourself off." So,
yeah, man, those are some interesting days, Dad. And skateboarding, just the same thing, man. You go out there and do your thing on the skateboard. There was no like, put your elbow pads, put your knee pads on, put your helmet on. But I mean, there's also some things that I think people have gotten smarter about, because I think it's because all the injuries that we all suffered as kids.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
That are like, you should probably have worn, a helmet so you don't like split your head wide open. Because a kid like me, I was clumsy enough that, I crashed my bike a lot of times. It got injured a lot. So, it's probably one of those things that, I probably should have been wearing some more padding, me personally. And I probably wouldn't have all these scars on my elbows and knees right now. But I know there's kids who didn't have that issue too. So, but I think there are some things safety-wise that are probably smarter nowadays compared to back then, even though it is sort of sissified.
So do you do you like it better? Well, of course you can't compare riding in a car seat now or riding in a car now, but back in the days when we used to take long trips, we didn't have car seats. We didn't even wear seatbelts.
You just got in and sat down somewhere.
You just got in and sat down, and you braced for the best. I think your mom, was it your mom? I forgot what car she had, but it was like one long bench seat in the front. Trying to remember, a long time ago. I can't remember what car it was, but I can remember all three of us riding in the front seat. And maybe your sister was in the back. I can't remember, but
so she had a Buick Regal. It was like a copper color Buick Regal with like some, I don't know, like brown or burgundy interior, like leather, and it felt like velvet. Oh,
that's what it was. That's the car. That was it.
Yeah,
I can remember that seat.
Yeah, and the front seat had like one of those little armrests that went down, but so you could sit on the armrest, you could flip it up and like sit on the seat. Yeah, man, those was the days right there, boy. That car went through a lot. I remember. So what's so funny, man? I remember being at the dealership when my parents bought that car. The first day we got it, and the guy who was our salesman. Eventually, when I was in college in a whole different town in Fort Worth instead of Houston, I was in college and started working at Papacitos down there. My general manager at Papacito's was the brother of that salesman that sold us that Buick Regal back in the day. It just so happened they had the same last name. And I was like, do you know a guy named Ralph? He's like, yeah, it's my big brother. And I was like, what? How is it, just the coincidence of that happening? But that aside, yeah, man, that Buick Regal, ooh boy, that car was something else. And I remember your mom having was that the Grand Am or the Grand Prix?
She had a Grand...
Pontiac.
Shucks. She had a Grand Am, I think it was. And I remember my dad had a New Yorker. It's a Chrysler New Yorker. Yeah, it was like this dark gray. Yeah. My mom had the blue Grand Am.
And I swear, like, when I was a kid, you vividly remember these cars or these vehicles, and I remember we probably went most of the places when I was visiting y'all in that Grand Am. And I knew, like, if you asked me what kind of car your dad had, I probably wouldn't even, I was like, I don't know. And then I finally saw the great car one day. I think we rode in it one time ever. At least I rode in it one time ever. But yeah, man, I remember that Grand Am. Like it was yesterday. I thought it was like one of the coolest cars, compared to the vehicles that we had.
Right.
And another thing was because it was a foreign vehicle, right? Because Pontiac back then, Pontiac wasn't a foreign vehicle though, was it? No, it was American. I always thought it was foreign, but I do remember, like back in the day, there was more of a stigma when it comes to foreign-made products and cars compared to American-made, compared to what it is now. So kids, these days, will see a Honda and like think nothing of it, even though the parent company's out of Japan. They'll think nothing of it. When back in the day, and I remember buying getting our Honda Odyssey, years ago, and my dad being like, "Why are you getting that? You should get the Chevy version." I'm like, "Nah, bruh, I'm not gonna do that. I ain't scared of this foreign stuff, Yeah, man.
Right,
it's just a thing, man. Kids won't get it.
No.
What do you think about this? So, food. So Kool-Aid, right?
Oh man, come on.
Kool-Aid. Like you would get, okay, so there's two different versions of Kool-Aid that you could get. You could get the packet that was pre-sugared, already had the sugar in it. Or you could get the pack that was just like a little tiny, like a little tiny packet with just like the concentrated powder. And you'd have to pour your own 5 gallons of sugar in there.
I never knew a pack that already had sugar in it. That was my thing.
You never saw those?
We always add sugar no matter what. It doesn't even matter.
You didn't know. Yeah,
because you go by the directions on the side or whatever, and it still didn't taste right. So then you had to keep on adding sugar. Sometimes you'd mix multiple colors together and make your own color, customized color with 5 cups of sugar in there.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Of course.
What was your favorite flavor? What was your favorite flavor?
Red.
That's what it is.
Yeah, red.
You didn't say strawberry or cherry. You said red.
The red and the purple.
Red and the purple. My favorite.
And sometimes
was
I mix it together and get this burgundy looking dark color.
Yeah, I like the red and I like the blue. Yeah, man, and yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like these days, they still have Kool-Aid. They have Cool Burst. They have the little squirt packs that you can squirt into your stuff. But kids these days just will not. They will not understand the joy of seeing that packet of Kool-Aid that your mom or dad brought home from the store, and you like going out of your way, because you're a big kid, you want to go ahead and mix it yourself, in the pitcher of water. And then you just
get like an inch of sugar at the bottom of it.
Man, like an inch of sugar, and mixing it, and you're like, man, I bet the sugar's gone now. It's dissolved, and it's still there, and you just drinking it anyway. And then being at like that bottom third of it or the bottom portion of it, and then pouring just like the sugar into your cup, and it's just being like a sugar rush, a pink
like
sugar
a slushy.
Yes, man. These kids these days, man, they don't get it.
Wow.
Definitely some great stuff. Toys. What about toys, man?
Oh, come on, man. Of course, back in the day, lead paint toys. I think they made a man out of you. But of course, nowadays, they got little sissy toys. They got little punk toys, man. They don't make them like they used to, like Transformers. They don't make like they used to. GI Joes. Do they even still make GI Joes? I don't even think so.
They don't. I won't believe.
We were walking through the store yesterday, and I saw like Thundercat toys. It's like, dang, they don't even make. They make some now, but they're like mostly like collectible, kind of just staying on your shelf. Yeah. They're not like they're not action figures like we used to have action figures like. But back in the day, had the best toys. Nowadays, it's just like, who's gonna have fun with this? All kids are on their phones and their electronics and doing silliness.
Trying to do some, those are things, man. And another thing was, it's always funny because there was always like this kid that you went to school with who had the quote unquote whole collection of Transformers or GI Joes or Thundercat, etc., or GoBots or whatever. And it was like you always sort of had like some envy for that kid because you're like, that kid has the whole collection. And you go over to their house, and it seemed like they had all of them. They had like a bunch of like the vehicles and all the other like play bases and stuff like that. And you're like, man, like I didn't have the whole collection of any of them, but I always felt like if I combined my collection,
you had the whole collection of Voltron.
I did have you're right, and I had both. I had the car and the line version. I guess I did have one. But what's funny is you talking about the lead paint. We had to send. My mom had to send back the line one because all the silver parts on it were full of lead paint, and I never got that back. And I always wondered what happened until I got a little older, and she told me. But no, I always felt like if I put my collection of GI Joes or Transformers together with yours and my cousin Fabian's, whose birthday was yesterday, shout out to Fabian, happy birthday. If we put our collection together, then we would have the full collection of all of them. But I never had it by myself, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I always felt like y'all had more than me, so.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get a full a good collection of toys. Like I had some GI Joes, Ninja Turtles. I was pretty. I got my fair share of Ninja Turtles, but I think like with the enemies and the good guys, it took a while to get all those. Like at least a couple years worth of collecting, and then all of a sudden, my mom threw them in a box and gave them away. So. Wow. That's good memories, man. That's some pretty good memories. What about just like, remember, did you used to collect baseball cards?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man.
See, I collected baseball cards, like Tops and Upper Deck back in the day. And I know they still have cards now, but kids aren't really going crazy about it. Like you go to Walmart, and there's like this one little section at Walmart, and they have like baseball cards and football cards, basketball cards. But it wasn't like back in the day when kids seemed like every kid was getting baseball cards, and you trade with each other and stuff like that. So that was one thing I remember doing a lot.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. It's one of those things. Who is it right now? So one of my friend's husbands has a Instagram page called Pack Geek. His name is Jeff. He's Pack Geek, and what he does is he'll go and buy, like the big box of. He'll go and buy the big box of baseball cards or basketball, whatever cards, and he has a podcast. And he basically, will go through and open them and talk about the gems that he finds in there. Go check him out, Pack Geek. I was like good friends with his wife. Actually, I referenced them I think what was that? Was that the last episode where I was talking about, they were thinking about having kids years ago. Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Pat Geek is pretty funny. It's pretty interesting. And looking back at these, like he'll get like a whole box of like some 19 or early 2000s like Topps cards or whatever, and then he has like an Allen Iverson rookie card in there, or mm-hmm. he'll have like a Michael Jordan like middle of the road card, or Michael Jordan went to baseball card, or like a Kevin Durant rookie with a Sonics jersey card on.
Yeah.
Find that, or Frank Thomas cards, the elite cards, Kirby Puckets when he was playing. So yeah, man, it's cool. But yeah, I remember those days. I remember there being several sort of like cards and collectible stores where you can go and buy and sell individuals or full packs mm-hmm. of cards.
Right.
And I always remember being like thinking it was a ripoff if I was trying to sell my cards and getting like less than like a couple bucks back for it. So yeah. There were books like these kids won't get it today. There were books that you could buy, and it was like a Topps card book
and to show you the value.
Yeah, or Ultra or Upper Deck books. And yeah, it'll tell you the value of the cards and the year of the cards. If you had a signature on it, then it mm-hmm. went up in value. If it was not wrinkled, not crinkled. Yeah,
man. Those were some good days, man.
I'm telling you, man. Those were.
What do kids collect nowadays?
Shoot.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Apps on your phone. I swear, man. Anytime my kids play my phone,
Pokemon cards.
Phone, yeah, they do that a little bit. My son is sort of over Pokemon at this point, but he still has quite a collection. So maybe one day they'll be worth something, but maybe not. But no, every time I play, I get back on my phone after my kid has played it. Kids have played it. I see 1, 2, 3 apps like games that have popped up that I never had on there before. And to be honest, mm-hmm. some of them I actually like, so I keep them around. But some of them, I'm like, what are you doing? Why did you just use all of my storage and add apps? And yeah, I think that's what they collect.
That's crazy. I'm looking through the Pat Geek page now, and I see he has like a Ricky Henderson card. And I'm like, geez, I hadn't even thought about the name Ricky Henderson since I was playing baseball. But
yeah, it's a pretty interesting show, and yeah, man, it's funny. Yeah, you look at some of these, and there's some newer guys, which is sort of cool, but then, there's some older ones in there, and you're like, how did you find that? And really, like Mike Schmidt, really, mm-hmm. Reggie Jackson, Dave Winfield, like it's just like, if you go to any of these stores and find these, because they're still for sale, you can still buy the whole, the box set, and go through.
Wow.
But yeah, I remember like the box set back when we were kids felt like it was like $200 for a box set. So that's why you just got like the single pack.
Did y'all ever chew big chew gum when you was playing Little League?
Yeah, the big league chew.
That was like mandatory.
Yeah, I have some.
That was like
I still have some in my house right now. I mean, it's probably like 5 years old, but I still have some.
And you put it in the corner of your mouth like you chewing tobacco.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember that. The other thing was, I do remember eating M&Ms, and they had this M&M commercial, right? That I always remember. It was like these little kids in Little League, and I was in Little League, and these kids were on the bench in the dugout, and this one kid was like, "Yeah, man, you're having M&Ms, before you go out to bat." And the kid's like, "Yeah, man, and this is why. The red ones, you hit it short. The brown ones, you get a double. The yellow ones for a triple, but the green ones, you hit a long ball." And so it's funny because this kid ate a green M&M, and then he went up and like he hit a home run, and he looked back at the dugout, and the kid was like doing like the little 80s kid thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? Man, I remember that. So I was like, man, I'm gonna have to have some M&M before I go play baseball. I'm gonna hit the green M&Ms. It worked twice. I hit 2 home runs. That's it. But I always thought it was the M&Ms. instead of my muscles. So, yeah, man, those
That's
were
crazy.
That was funny, man. Those was the days. Those was the days. Yeah, riding your bike until, like, riding your bike everywhere. Like, it seemed like, and just forever, and not really caring, not a care in the world. Yeah, until the street lights came on, and you had to be home. I remember those days, popping fireworks. I mean, this being close to the 4th of July. When we were kids, you know, and maybe it's a state-to-state thing, but I remember in Texas, you had bottle rockets, you had, like, you know, missiles, you know, you had what are those other things? Roman candles, all those things that you could shoot.
Yeah.
Now here in Utah, the only aerials that you could shoot are, you know, the things that'll go up and, like, pop. And make, like, you know, some kind of, like, flower looking thing. They don't have bottle rockets here. They don't have the missiles. They don't have. They do have missiles, but they're the ones that just shoot up and just pop like a firecracker. But they're all in one. And then they don't have Roman candles now, whereas back in the day we could do that. But also Utah is a little bit drier, and if it hasn't been a rainy year, you know, that could end up being a forest fire here, I guess. So I guess there's that. Mm-hmm. But fireworks back in the day. Not being afraid of anything, going out there just to light it. Yeah. You may have blown up in your face, but but then also, like, your mom, right? But then also your mom saying, you know, don't stand over that firework, run away fast.
Yeah.
So
I was telling a coworker yesterday Friday, about me and you when we stuffed that one bottle full of firecrackers. Might have been like all black cats or something like that.
Yeah.
And we lit it on. We ran. We lit it. We ran, and then we hid behind, like, this board or something, and waited for everything to just go off. And we thought the bottle would explode, but it didn't explode, and it was just full of smoke. And we brought it inside because we thought it was, like, the most amazing thing, and everybody getting mad at us. Your dad whipping you, and then your dad whipping me because my mom said he was with him. You whip him too.
Man.
And that's another thing. They don't have, like, kids don't have, like, discipline like they used to have before. Like, we used to get whipped by the teachers. We get whipped by other people's parents. Like, I'm getting whipped by your parents. I'm sure I got whipped by some aunts and uncles as well. But I don't think they have that anymore, man. You can't put your hands on other kids nowadays, or it's a problem.
Nah, you can't, man. It's you get in trouble if you try to do that. You know, whereas nowadays, you can't do that. Back in the day, though, it was just like, go for it. Good luck.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, try to do something bad and see if their mama ain't gonna give you a whooping too.
Man, neighbors disciplining you, whether they're yelling, you know, fussing at you, or trying to give you some kind of insight on what you're doing is wrong. They don't do that anymore. Even kind of sort of knowing your neighbors. I don't even think that, and that could be outside of kids too. But, you know, I don't even think that, you know, knowing your neighbors is a big thing, because we used to know everybody on the block. You know, so that was like big growing up. Kids knowing all your neighbors, true. And who kids live where, and this, that, and the other. But yeah, that's been lost through time.
Yeah, that has been lost. I think it's interesting though, because this neighborhood we live in right now, there's a lot of kids. I guess compared to any other street that we've lived on since we had kids. There's several kids, you know, on our street, or like within, you know, like close walking distance, you know, to this house. So, you know, the kids know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know some of their parents. But yeah, man, I know that, you know, there's several that we don't. You know, several parents, you know, or just other neighbors that we don't. And yeah, it's just like that, man. It felt like, when you were a kid, you knew every neighbor on the block. You know, you knew the name of every, like, somebody who lived at every house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's definitely different now. You know, interpersonal interaction now is definitely different than it was when we were kids. Because we were kids, you know, it felt like you were always more open to talking to people, And maybe that's another thing being from the South. You know, you would just talk to people just because, wave at people going by, talk to people, say hi, say something.
Right.
Whereas nowadays, people are head down, stuck in their phone, or not as willing to walk and smile and nod. Unless it's a brother. Normally it's a brother smile and nod. It's fine.
Just call. I think we text more than people call nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. This is true. If you look at your call history compared to like your text history, the numbers are much higher in your text history. So
even remembering like phone numbers back in the day, you had to remember phone numbers. All right. I mean, of course, your mom would, somebody would write it down in their little phone book, address book, but you'd still remember the majority of numbers in your head. Like I still know my mom's work phone number and her extension.
Yeah.
From way back in like the 90s, 80s, 90s era.
Man.
There
are several phone numbers that I still have programmed in my mind. My aunts and uncles' numbers, just to their home. And parents' numbers to work. Just a bunch of numbers like that. Okay, so the house, the apartment that we lived in, back at Copper Creek, I remember the home number to that, and it's because when I go to Kroger, or I guess Smith's up here, which is the Kroger version up here, same company, and you use like the little like customer advantage card or whatever. That's the phone number that I have set up on it. So I always use the alternate ID, and I always plug in 817-451-9462. Always. Yep. I haven't used that number since we lived there together. Wow. Years ago. Isn't that crazy?
That's like 15 years maybe? No, let's see.
Nah, my wife and I get married
about 13.
In 2006. So 13 years.
About 13 years. Wow.
Crazy, man. I still use it.
That's crazy.
So I mean, if you guys ever go to Kroger or Smith's or Vons, I think Vons is the other one, or Ralph's. No, Ralph's is the other one. And if you want to, add to that loyalty rewards program, 817-451-9462, or you can just call that number and see who picks up. I don't know who that's going to be.
I might have to try that because I always go to Kroger and I never put in the number. So
you'll at least get a price break. So there you go.
Sweet.
Anyway.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Anyway,
man,
wow.
We could have been tapping our love box on all these things.
Ooh, yeah, we could have. And I guess this is that time.
This is that time.
JQ's the music, man. There's so many more topics, and we'd love for more feedback from people out there because I know we missed a lot, but we can't cover all the 80s, all the 90s, and the late 70s, in one episode. So yeah, cue that music, that Careless Whisper. Ooh, George Michael, man. Just go.
That's right.
You remember. Well, I'm gonna just hold on to that. Just go ahead and tap your love box in this moment.
Tap it. Tap your love box if you remember playing The Floor is Lava, or building pillow and blanket forts. Tap your love box if you showed your kids how to build the pillow and blanket forts, and they love doing it now. Yes. If you remember back in school, going to the principal's office or some type of administration office and bringing out that big cart with the TV and VCR and rolling it back to class to watch a movie, tap your love box. Man, those were the days. If you tap your love box, if you remember NBA Live, the first one, 1995, NBA Live 95. I had NBA Live 96. Yeah, that was a good one too. That was a good one. Tap your love box if you remember customizing your character and putting everything set to like 99. Yeah. You had tap your love box. Character. Yeah, tap your love box when you got the version
first version that wouldn't let you put your character to 99, and they gave you a total number of points, and you had to figure out what you actually wanted to use your points on.
Oh man, that sucked. Man.
Tap your love box if you remember that Mitch Richmond was on the cover of one of those when he played for the Kings.
Wow.
Back in the day, man.
That's a long time ago.
Yep.
If you remember playing neighborhood hide and seek with all the friends on the block, tap your love box.
Oh yeah. Yes, the tap your love box if you remember climbing trees. That's it. My kids don't do that like we did.
Oh man, do you climb trees? Oh man, that's funny. Goodness. If you remember waiting all day, all night for your favorite song to come on the radio, tap your love box.
Man. Oh wow, yeah, I remember that. Tap your love box if you used to wear jams. Wow. T-shirts, shorts.
Wow, jam shorts. Woof. Wow. Tap your love box if you used to wear skids.
Ooh, skids. Man, you can still buy skids these days. Look up skids. You can buy skids. Yeah.
Wow.
SKIDZ. Close it. Man, you can still buy skids right now. Depending on what you want to pay.
$950. That's the first thing that came up. No, this is not right. This is something else.
No, you know what's so funny?
Balenciaga.
My black and white overall skids that I had when I was a kid are selling on this site called Open Ceremony for $210. Come on, G. And tap your love box if you remember asking your parents for the most popular clothes, but they were too expensive, and so they got you like the knockoff version.
It's like, I want some Nikes, but take these Mikeys.
Right.
I got from the meat.
Getting some skids, which would normally have that skidding car street sign on it, but instead of getting skids, you got like Scodes, and it was just like a car on the sign, but it didn't have the little skid track, so everybody knew immediately that you had some whack clothes.
Man.
Yeah, but no, skidsnyc.com. Buy the stuff now.
Wow.
$50.
I don't know.
Still too much. Price needs to go back down.
Tap your love box if you used to wear overalls with only one strap on the side.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, man, I remember those days.
Good.
Oh, shit. Tap your love box if you used to wear your hat or tennis shoes with the tag still on them.
Yeah, I can remember that. I think some kids still do that with the tennis shoes. Now I think the tags on hats are just like the little sticker underneath.
Yeah. And I remember back in the day when they had like a big plastic, like a Nike tag or something, and with like held on with one of those little chain thingies.
Wow.
Yeah, having it on there. Those were the days.
That's crazy, man. Tap your love box if you remember playing with marbles back in school, elementary. Yes,
marbles. Tap your love box if your mama taught you how to play jacks.
Yep, I remember that.
Those were the days right there, boy. Tap your love box if you were looking at these Lotto tennis shoes right now and you about to buy a pair.
Uh-oh. Go for it.
Might. Oh, man.
Just do it.
The price is about the same price that I'd be spending on some tennis shoes anyway. Shoot, dog. I just had to pull the trigger. Tap your love box if you remember searching through the yellow pages for a phone number.
Oh, man. That's funny. That is funny.
That was the struggle.
Here's one for you. Tap your love box if you remember MTV and BET playing music videos. Bam.
And trying to get home fast enough to like catch like whatever the newest video was.
Yep, I was trying to make it my business to be at home for 3 o'clock, 3:30 when Rap City came on BET.
Rap City, the basement. Yeah, I remember that. That's so funny. Tap your love box if you remember listening to a CD player and the music always skipping, and then when you finally got that new and improved portable CD player that had the bump protection on it, and the music still skipped.
Good. Tap your love box if you remember playing cassette tapes and having your tape pop. How you fix that?
Wow. You try to rewind it with a pencil. It just doesn't work all the same all the way. Man, tap your love box wouldn't. Yeah, was that out?
I was like, where did it twist? I never could roll it up straight.
I think you like stick a pencil in one of those. You
could stick it in the hole, but somehow the tape.
Oh, the twist part, yeah.
It always ended up twisting somewhere, and I could never figure out where the twist was.
Yeah, I remember that too, man. It was like, what? How? How did that? Or listening to the tape after that happened, and going from side A to side B immediately because of the twist. Oh man. Shoot. Tap your love box if you remember eating cereal and not caring that there was like 99% sugar in the cereal.
Go through a whole box of Apple Jacks in one day. All right, man. Well, I could do this all day.
Tap your love box if you remember Heads Up 7-Up.
Ooh, man. Red light, green light.
Ooh, yes.
Red light, green light.
Red light, green
they
light.
Do they do that anymore? Some kids doing that.
I've not seen Heads Up 7-Up in forever. Tap your love box if you remember using a manual pencil sharpener.
Wow. Yeah, we actually bought one here.
Yeah.
We had one. It broke, but it wasn't like the old school metal ones that was like screwed into the side of the wall in your classroom.
Yeah, those were great.
Tap your love box if you used to sharpen your pencil down until it was like a nub.
Yes, I remember that. Man, I remember that. Tap your love box if you read either Wayside Stories from Sideways School or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Wow. I remember those. Wow.
Tap your love box if you remember America Online, AOL Instant Messenger, and type in your friends' messages and like realize you could talk to friends who didn't live near you for the first time.
Yeah.
Without a phone.
Yeah. Tap your love box if you remember typing in ASL back when AOL had chat.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I remember those. I remember talking to this person from like Australia. They claimed it was like some girl who lived in Australia. She claimed, and yeah, I remember like when I was in college, like it was just like a random friend that you know, like we just, I don't know, you like found somebody. I don't know how, I can't remember how you just find people, but I remember, or maybe you just search for like, you know, men or women, you know, age range, whatever, and like it would pop up just these names. So I remember, yeah, finding somebody when I was in college, maybe post college, I don't know, just like having like a random friend in Australia. I was like, yeah, I got a friend in Australia. I'm cool like that. Maybe that's high school, I can't remember. But yeah, man, so much. Tap your love box when you remember, if you remember going to the book fair and only having $10 to spend and trying to figure out what you actually want to use your money on, a poster or a book.
You got the poster.
Yes. Man, I'm telling you.
Oh, God.
Tap your love box when you remember the magic eye. If you remember the magic eye and thinking it was amazing when you finally saw the image.
Wow.
You know, man, yeah. This could go on and on.
It could.
Scented markers, playing with the parachute at school, ring pops.
Freaking ring pops. Freaking pixie sticks. Just pour all that sugar in your mouth and down your throat.
Yeah. The pogo ball.
big wheels. That's
Big
all
wheels.
you gotta say. Big wheels.
Man. The TV show,
Kids.
all that.
All that. It's making a comeback. All that.
Is it really?
Yeah, Keenan and Kel are like, I think they're like maybe producers, or they're going to be helping the kids, like this new group of kids, kind of work on some things. So they're making a comeback.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Keenan and Kel, what is it? Let's see here. My brother won. Let's see. He won tickets to Good Burger in L.A. So I think they had Did they have a restaurant that popped open? Or maybe it was a show. Yeah, I can't remember. But he won tickets to Good Burger, and yeah, obviously that's Keenan and Kel. So I'm glad they're back together again. You know, like doing things together, because you know it was a good thing. What about Fruit Stripe gum? Remember Fruit Stripe gum? You could like chew the wrapper.
That sounds familiar.
Fruit
really
Stripe gum.
So I'm trying to think. That does sound familiar.
They still sell it now in some places. Fruit Stripe gum. I bought some, brought some home. My kids eat it, and then my coworkers, you know, we've eaten it. I have another one I brought to work, and yeah, man, the flavor goes out in exactly 10 seconds. That's it.
That's crazy.
That's it. So, anyway, all right, man. So much more, you know, including scratching a CD, like the back of your CD getting scratched, and you thinking that it was never going to work again. So yeah. So Jay, do your thing. Tell the people they can find us as they reminisce on their childhood.
Yes. All right, people. Hashtag Blackout Pod on Instagram and Twitter. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Anchor, YouTube, Spotify. You can find our episodes there, or a lot of them. Email us topics, hashtag blackoutpod@gmail.com. Send us a voicemail, 353 BLAKPC or 353252572. Check the description. You'll find a link to Boss Boxes. Get yourself 10% off of Boss Box when you hit Blackout 10 in the checkout page, whatever it's called. See, I'm like losing my train of thought. Hooks, rubs, and spices. Get yourself some hooks.
All over.
Just put it all over your body. Sprinkle it on your childhood. And it would have been great.
Yes, indeed.
Get yourself some.
Make your childhood memories better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Daddy used to use like a whole gallon of lighter fluid to light up the grill. Have the whole neighborhood smoking. Good old days.
Smell like gasoline.
Oh man,
You know?
I remember my dad throwing a cup of gas. I don't know why he did this. I don't know if he's just experimenting. Yeah, he poured some gasoline in a cup and just threw it on the barbecue pit. Just like boom. I don't know what he was thinking. I have no clue.
Experiments sure to go wrong right there, man. That's funny. And honestly, I could see your dad doing that. I don't know why. And I don't know why he would do it, but I could see it happen. That's funny. Oh man. I remember thinking your dad's barbecue pit was like the craziest looking thing I'd ever seen, because it was like a big rectangle wall of bricks with like just like a grill grate on top.
I want to make one
just
like that.
Pick it up, throw wood in it, and just start cooking. And it was just out in the ground in the middle of the yard. And I was like, where's the lid? Like in my mind, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember, you know, we just had different grills. So I was just like, what the heck? But nowadays, there's something, is it called like a cochina or something? I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, they have those where you could buy them. Obviously, and they're like wooden boxes or steel boxes. And you put all the coals at the bottom with the thing, and it looks like that. So yeah, man, build one. Shoot, dog. Take it back to the old school.
Yes,
Just don't burn down the neighborhood.
of course not.
So anyway, yeah, man. Thank y'all for listening. You know, looking forward to hearing y'all's childhood memories. Maybe somebody remember going to like FYE to buy a CD or a DVD or a video game, especially when they had their sales. You know, maybe somebody remember going to Spencer Gifts and looking at all the women on those funny little like the sexy things.
Yeah.
You know, being a little kid.
I remember that. That's fun.
That's all.
Funny stuff. Yeah. It's great.
Yes, indeed. All right, I'm blacking out.
All right, people.